All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe, definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.
Yo. Hey. How's everybody doing out here? Y'all know who it is. Your boy Metro Meta, he who shall not be named. And I'm here with the illustrious, the one and only.
At one Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want. Just don't call me lazy. And we are here for a brand new podcast. Morgan, I spoke to you about this earlier today. I've been feeling I was feeling real inspired. I watched Batwoman yesterday, so I'm going to be doing a review about that. But I have Morgan on the line for the first half of this podcast because the name of this podcast is the Crime Alley Podcast. And if you are not familiar with Crime Alley, it is a very dark alley in the city of Gotham where, famously, Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered in cold blood. And we are doing a double feature today, so the first part of this podcast will be dedicated towards the Joker, which is why I have my co-host on, and the second half will be me talking about Batwoman. Hopefully Morgan will get into the vibe and he will be watching Batwoman. It is very good. I feel like Batwoman is right up his sleeve. I feel like he would like that show since he is very heavy when it comes to female superheroes. Like, you love like Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, Spider-Gwen. I feel like this is right up your alley.
We'll see. First, let's get started. The Joker came out this week. It's doing very well in the box office. Initial impression, Marcus, how did you feel about the movie? And then we'll go more in depth into a spoiler review.
So I thought it was a straight movie. Like, it was cool. It's not something that I would go back to see just because it's not really my vibe. I don't want to say it's not really my vibe, but it was just too long for me. Like, I feel like it was too long and really like
Slowly paced.
Yeah, there was no like true forward like character development, and just like with this iteration of the Joker, he was kind of soft. Like, this is getting into the spoilers, but he was kind of soft. But I mean, people have been like raving about it. I just think it's cool. I think it's straight. I would never see it again. But yeah, overall, I just think I'm cool on it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Not on like all your points. I get it's more of like a film character piece as the Joker, but it didn't exactly shock me, and I don't think it really earned that R rating. Like, I could definitely see you being able to edit around some of the scenes. It didn't seem to have a hook. For me, the hook was supposed to be Joker and you watching this man become the Joker, but it seemed like he took a little too few leaps and stuff. It's clearly a superhero movie made for cinemaphiles, but at the same time, I don't think its story is its strong point. Like, it has great cinematography, great acting, but the story itself, I have some issues with. Let's do a quick rundown of what happened.
Okay, well, first, before we get into that, let me read the synopsis. Forever alone in a crowd, failed comedian Arthur Fleck seeks connection as he walks the streets of Gotham City. Arthur wears two masks, the one he paints for his day job as a clown, and a guise he projects in a futile attempt to feel like he's part of the world around him. Isolated, bullied, and disregarded by society, Fleck begins a slow descent into madness as he transforms into the criminal mastermind known as the Joker. Now, before we get into our spoiler reviews, seeing as we're both from Colorado, and we actually didn't we see Dark Knight? We saw Dark Knight together, right? I think
we saw it together, but not the night of the shooting.
No, we did see it that night, but we saw it at We saw it earlier.
No, I think that's the one we didn't go to.
No, we saw it. No, we did. We saw it earlier on that Thursday. We didn't go to the midnight show. We saw it downtown. So
yeah, but I do remember that day.
Yeah, so just in like the lead up to the Joker films, where you had like people being like hell bent on saying this is too violent, this is going to incite gun violence and mass murders. How did you feel about that?
Going into it, I have to admit I did feel a little bit nervous, but mostly due to the area I'm at. I don't think it would incite violence, but I think certain individuals would be enticed to bring violence to it.
Okay. So my point of view. So I got what everybody was saying about how this would incite like mass murders and violence and gun violence in theaters. However, this was the Joker film was a very different film than The Dark Knight. And because The Dark Knight was framed as a superhero film, it was framed as a film where good defeats evil. And even in the run up to Joker, I did not get that impression of this movie at all. And so it was just, it was weird seeing both sides of it. Here, hang on. Hello? At home? No. Okay. Okay. Alright. Bye. Okay, hello?
Yeah.
That was mom. So what was I saying?
Both sides.
What was I saying?
Both sides.
Oh yeah, okay. So I didn't really feel that the Joker film was like scary. I felt like it was I didn't feel like the Joker film was a typical superhero film, which it was not, but I just feel like The Dark Knight had that DC Comics prestige around it, and that the Joker film didn't have that. It was the Joker film and just the creators behind it and even the actors, they were hell-bent on making sure that, hey, this is just a film about a guy who goes insane, not about the Joker necessarily. We basically just used it on name recognition alone.
Yeah, and I think there was a comment of the director saying this is us sliding a real film under the guise of a superhero film. And it really does. It comes off similar to a film like Logan. Well, really, Logan and the Joker, they're the only superhero films sort of in this vein where they sort of make a regular movie using superhero characters. It's an interesting like ideal to do it with. However, I will say they do seem to just be going for these sad, upsetting stories. Like if you were to say, let's make a real movie in the guise of superhero film, I'm wondering, where are the happy ones? Where's like the rom-coms or like a musical or something like that? It seems like they're really like, Logan was very heavily influenced by Westerns, and this one's very much a character piece. So it seems like they're just doing moody Hollywood, but now with superheroes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also, so even like, how did you feel about DC not answering questions at the premiere of it, or not at the premiere? Yeah, at the like premiere of it.
Questions about what specifically?
They just weren't answering questions at all.
I think that was to put on an air of mystery for this. I feel like they're trying to make this feel like a more mysterious movie. Like, oh, what does it all mean? Wiggly fingers, wiggly fingers. Like, I feel like with this movie, from how a lot of the community is taking it, like they're treating it like it's an interesting story where you have an unreliable narrator, and you can't really tell because was it his mental condition? Did this really happen? Didn't this really happen? What does it all mean?
Yeah,
What actually led up to this?
yeah, it's a
And
lot
to me,
like Euphoria in that sense.
yeah, and I get that. But what I would say to that, and this is something I came to after thinking about the movie a couple of days and just hearing everybody's theories, and I just thought to myself, whenever they do like a deep character dive in somebody's mind who isn't mentally stable, they always be like, you can't tell the difference between reality and their imagination. So what really happened? And I'm just going, you're basically just saying it was all a dream. That's the same plot line you're using is, was it a dream? Was it not a dream? What does it all really mean? And I just know if they had gone on screen and said, oh, he was sleeping, maybe he wasn't sleeping, everyone would be like, that's a dumb ending.
Yeah,
So I feel like we're starting to use like mental illness as a new way to write that same type of story without it sounding dumb, because now people aren't scared of their dreams anymore.
yeah, and there was an interesting theory that some of my friends had, and how it was the whole movie was all a dream, and he never got out of Arkham, or he like in the beginning when he's in that all white room, we're assuming that's Arkham, that he never left there. It was all just in his mind.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's just like, it's a great theory, but if that was the actual truth, it'd be like the Lost ending. Everybody would be mad about it because it's a dumb card
Right.
pull.
Right. Okay, so before we actually get into like spoilers again, I know you're thirsty to get into it. You said it had great cinematography. Can you speak more about that?
Just the framing and how it moves. The best scene I can think about to show this would be the scene where he confronts Thomas Wayne.
Right.
And you see Thomas Wayne, he punches him, and then he leans over the sink, and then you have that snap cut, and he's at his house.
Right.
It's a good editing trick. It shows they were using talent, and again, it feeds into that narrative of, did he actually go and see Thomas Wayne, or was that all in his head? And you could really just tell the emotions in those scenes.
Right.
So you really you really get the sense of it. Everything from I hate to say it, but like the shade the movie's in. If you notice, it like has a particular color shade that it's always in. It leans to the tone, and that's something that early Marvel movies were always criticized because of the lens they were using. They weren't as good with their colors. They didn't pop as much. So it just, you can tell this is a film that was made well. You can tell this was made by experienced filmmakers. It feels like something coming out of the production house of an Edgar Wright or of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. One thing that I will give DC credit for is that Joker did not have the Zack Snyder filter over it. We could actually see his dark scenes. Like, for example, if we were still in the Snyderverse and there was that subway scene, we wouldn't be able to see any. We would hardly be able to see anything at all. But so I'm glad they're slowly but surely moving away from the Snyder vision and his version of the DCEU. And another thing that I do like, you didn't bring it up. You talked about the cinematography. One aspect of the film that I liked was the acting of Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin, yes. Joaquin Phoenix. I do think he really was. I do feel like he really, really, really wanted to act like a man who slowly descended into madness, who already had some issues with him, and just with some of the bombshells that was just thrown his way, it made complete sense why he would just suddenly just crack like that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
He is. They have this. I think ever since Heath Ledger, they really have this thing where they want to cast method actors as the Joker, and Joaquin really in this movie proved why they keep that rule.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do think even with like his physique and his manners and his mannerisms and even his body, he really tried to tap into a role of a man who would seem off on the outside, but seemed like he was like perfectly fine. And even we're gonna get into the spoilers a little bit later, but when he was in his like romantic relationship, even that seemed very natural and very casual, but reality had a different set of circumstances, and so we see that as well. But yeah, no, he really tapped into that role. Once again, I just feel like he wasn't trying to be the Joker. Like, I felt like he was trying to be like the Joker Jace, such as like a real life version of the Joker. And one of the things I real criticize just DC about is how they run away from their comic book history and how they run away from just their comic book heritage when it comes to live action films. Like, they completely run away from it and they go into like these alternate worlds when you have like the Injustice series, and you have like the most comic accurate film was Shazam, and even that people didn't like that because it was Marvelized. But when you're but the thing about this comic books is they're supposed to be fantasy, and so that makes complete sense. But I don't get why Joaquin Phoenix and Tom Phillips were truly trying to run away from a storied character. And one of the arguments I was having with a few of my colleagues about the Joker movie was that they said the Joker doesn't have an origin, but there's numerous times throughout the history of DC, this character has been around for over, I want to say 60, 70 years by now. And so it's just like he has multiple origins from the comics you could have pulled from that. And one of the just disrespectful things...
Well, they did pull a little bit from the Killing Joke, origin story.
And even the Killing Joke, that is an off-world story. Like, that's not even a canon story. And so it feels like super disrespectful to, like, you would never start off an off-world Harry Potter movie or an off-world Lord of the Rings movie. It should not be deemed like, okay, this is the real version, the comic book version doesn't matter. Like, that's just my whole issue with it.
But I think what we're running into in this is that I don't think DC is making a cinematic universe like Marvel. They're not trying to retell comic book stories. They're making a basic multiverse.
Okay, so, but here's the thing. They're not, as they're running away from their comic book origins and they're creating their own and like these off-world stories, which is a great thing, but they haven't necessarily come out and said, hey, we're doing our own thing, comics are doing their own thing, and the two are separate. They haven't really made that distinction. They're trying to get the name, like with Tom Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, they're trying to get the name recognition of the Joker, but saying, hey, this is our story, we don't care about source material.
I think what they're trying to do is, it's sort of like showing the character in a different light, though.
Elaborate?
Like, they're just being like, what would another origin story of the Joker would look like? What would a cinematic version of Wonder Woman look like? They're using the base of that character and telling more stories from them.
But when there's an abundance of stories, though, why would you want to run away from that?
Because we've already told those stories.
No.
You read them. Everybody read them.
No, but
why are
this
we
is what I'm saying.
retelling stories when we could do something new?
Okay, how many Joker stories have you read, Morgan?
I've read a few, but even still, I'm just saying.
Exactly. Okay, and I'm looking up right now what films Tom Phillips has come from.
He's more of an indie, not Tom Phillips. Joaquin's more of an indie film actor. Todd Phillips used to be a comedy director.
Yeah, so he no, what is this? Okay, so he directed the Hangover trilogy. I know that for sure. And like what you said, he came from comedy. And
Yeah.
so, but I think the problem is when his jokes weren't hitting the same, when his like frat jokes weren't hitting the same, he decided, okay, I'm gonna do something else, and I'm gonna make a name for myself. And that's what I think this is.
He did he did The Joker, Hangover, War Dogs, Star is Born is on his movies, Old School.
Yeah, so a lot of like hilarious films for that time, but they just age horribly. So it makes complete sense why he would want to try another field. But enough of that. We're in the spoiler review now. So before I begin, this is the Joker. Morgan, what was your funniest part of the film?
I didn't think it was funny.
Oh, okay. All right.
I didn't. What were you supposed to be laughing? I thought it was all serious.
Okay, let me rephrase that. What was your most memorable part of the movie?
Most memorable part has got to be when he lets the little guy go after killing the guy who gave him the gun.
Yes. So that actually was the funniest part of the movie to me. Because
how was that funny?
Okay, because the guy got to the door and he was jumping to reach the lock, and then he was like, Arthur, can you unlock the door for me? So yes, that was hilarious.
I thought it was nerve bending.
I mean, Joe, he said he wasn't gonna kill him, so.
But he just killed the other dude. You can't trust that nigga.
Alright, okay. Have to edit that out. But, so, okay, another thing. How did you feel about him dropping the gun in the hospital?
That was a dumb move.
Yeah, I was like, bruh, what was... You think you was gonna get robbed at the hospital? Like, in front of a whole bunch of sick kids? And then after he dropped the gun, he gonna hold his finger to his mouth like, alright, this is our little secret, don't tell. Like, bruh, of course they're gonna tell. You literally had a firearm in a public place.
Yeah, I don't know. It was part of my gimmick kind of thing. Come on, you couldn't think of something better. Or at least don't have it in your pocket when you're dancing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Alright, so, let's just talk about the great acting performances in here. So, I feel like all of the actors and actresses performed higher than their level. And even just like from Joaquin Phoenix to, who is the guy who plays Thomas Wayne? Did you find it?
No.
Okay. Robert De Niro? No. That That's not it. Okay. Well, I even think Thomas Wayne did a good job, as I'm still looking for him. Robert De Niro was the Joker. Was Thomas Wayne. One of the things I did not like was the lack of mentioning Gotham City. It literally was only mentioned about like 5 times in the movie. I thought that was weird. And another weird thing that I don't want to say it's weird, but an aspect that this movie tried to tackle was classism. And I don't know if you noticed that, Morgan, but just how with Thomas Wayne running for president, running for mayor of Gotham, and he came off as this just elitist. He came off as an elitist, and how like the elitist class is very different from the working class, and how Arthur couldn't find reliable work, and he was still living with his mom, and he was quote unquote taking care of his mom. We'll talk about that in a second. But he was taking care of his mother, and he was living, and he was trying to live out his dreams. And even in his last monologue during the interview, and he was talking about how he was talking about like, you don't care about me, these people are different, and how your problems aren't even the same as my problems. And that's like we're even seeing that in real life, especially when we this is very Super Flow Bros, but even like the Ellen DeGeneres George W. Bush picture and her response to that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
So yeah, it's just even stuff like that. It's like, okay, this was very much not only a Joker film, not only a comic book film, but it also tried to tackle issues that everyday people are facing. It's just like when you have I don't want to call it, it's not a mental illness, it's when your mental health isn't the best and the resources are cut off, what are you supposed to do? And you can't get a hold of the medication, and they don't give, and like and programs, and people don't even give you like the right type of resources to use. What do you do from that? So, and I think a lot of that is like the reason why he went insane.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of the movie, is that the reason why he's resonating so much with the people of Gotham is that they're overlooking the working class. There's trash in the streets, and there's just a boiling point, and you get to the murder of the 3 bankmen who were harassing that girl, and the train comes out, the news comes out, and the news obviously goes with the, isn't it so sad these 3 men got killed? And then the public is so done with it, they're like, we're not sad about that. We don't care about that. They deserve to die, honestly, in our opinion. And you see this clash between those ideals.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. And even that is true. And with his lack of taking medication, we see him slowly developing a life, and even developing a love life with I can't remember her name from the film. Do you remember? With Zazie Beetz and her, and like their whole relationship. The one thing I did not like about that was when he just knocked on her door and she opened, and then he just went for the kill. Now, I don't want to say went for the kill, but he just started kissing her like right away. Like no asking. Like, I know we're in the PC era, but even that was like, okay, that's like, she may have kissed you back, but like, come on, man, you ain't have to do all that.
Well, again, it was part of his fantasy.
Right.
I believe.
Right.
So, like, in your fantasy, that's how it works. You knock on the girl's door, you just, like, it looks like a scene straight out of a romance movie. He just knocks on the door, they kiss, and then they are just together now.
Is that how it happens in your fantasy, Morgan?
No, it's just what happens in romance movies.
Okay. Alright. So, yeah, and then even when we circle back and they're developing this relationship, and she was even at the hospital when his mom was in the hospital, she's like, yo, hit me up later. And then when he's at her apartment and she runs up, she's like, yo, who are you? Like, I have no idea who you are. And it's just like the flashback, and we're seeing like all the scenes where he was together with her, he really was alone. And so even that, it's like, yo, you're really like crazy. And even like just the way he was following her, or not following her, but the way he was stalking her basically. And so it was just like, yo, that's a bit much. Like, you following her on the train, you following her to work. Don't you got a job too? Like, come on, man.
But it was again to show that he's not right.
Right. Okay, how did you... One thing that I just did not like, the dancing. I get it, the whole snap, the whole feeling yourself thing, getting hyped. We've all been there. But how did you feel about it?
I mean, it was a bit weird. I didn't really like it all that much. It felt like a weird power move. Like, if you're trying to show off, I'm the Joker, this is what I'm capable of, I wouldn't have gone with dancing.
Right, and I will just add that not only it wasn't weird, it just was like, it seemed like a man who wasn't in his right mind. And I know that's what the Joker is, but to the Joker, he's in his right mind. And so for him to be dancing like that, that comes off very strange. But yeah, and also, so let's just get to a scene I really wanted to talk to you about. We're about to get out of here. The last scene. The interview. He shoots the host. How did you feel about that?
That was a very dramatic way of showing what was going on. But I felt like they did it well. You didn't like it?
No, I feel like it was a little bit over the top for me. I feel like if they just would have stopped at him shooting the host and him getting arrested, I would have been completely fine with that. But like the riots in the streets and then him coming out and on top, and they break him out of the cop car and the dancing, it's just like, all right, we get it.
Well, I think that was us to see him in his element, like, because if you think about, he's only the Joker really for that one night. Every other day, he's just crazy Arthur Fleck. So that's like prime Joker moment.
Yeah, and he, the one thing I will say is that his motivation was always to be noticed, to be seen. And even in his last monologue, he was like, y'all don't care about people like me. We have to stand out to be heard. And that's what he did. And of course, he got the attention. My one thing that I really just did not like was the age difference between Arthur and a young Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne is like 8 and Joaquin Phoenix is like 40, and so it's just like that timeline isn't going to mesh up, because by the time...
But again, Marcus, they're not making Joker versus Batman. That's not happening. You're not going to see Joaquin versus... No.
And actually, he said he's open to coming back. But even if you like think about it, just like you're gonna have a totally different Joker, like that doesn't make any sense when we've already been introduced to this Joker. And so, I mean,
in one of Batman's stories, it literally said that there were 3 of them.
That was
when he was in the chair.
It was a time travel. That was when he was like a god though, and he was time traveling. Like that's completely different. But like, and so when you have something like this, I feel like that age disparity did kind of bother me. Dang it, I was gonna mention something. shoot. Talk. I gotta think of it.
So I was thinking about one thing I noticed today, at least on Twitter, was they were talking about the scene where you see Batman's death and you see Joker, Batman's parents' death, and you see Joker laughing. It was like, the joke is he just made his greatest enemy. One of the things I thought was funny was on Twitter, they showed a cutout from Teen Titans Go, and it was like the Teen Titans went into the past and they put a pearl necklace on Bruce Wayne's parents, and they threw him in the alley so that they die, and they're like having like thumbs up moments. It's just like, that show is mad dark for a kids show.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, alright.
What's up?
That's it. The relationship between Bruce Wayne and Thomas Wayne. Do you think Thomas Wayne is his father?
Arthur or Bruce?
Arthur. We know he's Bruce's father.
Oh no.
Yeah, I feel like that is a sick and demented type of way that he tried to say. I feel like his mother was crazy. I feel like Alfred was right. And also, Alfred is a trained butler. He's a butler, but he's also a bodyguard who's been in like World War II. So for for Arthur to just choke him up like that, I was like, dang man, you going out kind of weak.
Yeah, but he was caught by surprise.
No, as a trained soldier, you can't be caught by surprise. Like, you always got to back up.
Hey man, sometimes it be like that.
I guess. Any last words?
Nah.
Any last thoughts?
Those are my thoughts. So I'll see y'all.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this?
7.
Okay, I am at a 7 too. And stay tuned because we are I'm doing a Batwoman review, so just stay tuned. Once again, I want to thank Morgan for taking time out of his busy schedule to record a Joker review with me. I hope you listened and you enjoyed that. Now we are in part 2 of Crime Alley, season 1, episode 1 of the Crime Alley podcast. Once again, if you missed the beginning, I am your host, Ad1 Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want, Just Don't Call Me Lazy, and I'm going to be talking about the pilot episode of the CW show Batwoman, and I'm looking for the give me 1 second. I'm looking for the synopsis because I cannot find it anywhere, and it has to be here. Oh, okay, I had it. Okay, so the synopsis for the pilot is: Kate Kane never planned to be Gotham's new vigilante. Gotham is a city in despair. The Gotham City Police Department have been overrun and outgunned by criminal gangs. Enter Jacob Kane and his military-grade Crow's private security, which now protects the city with omnipresent firepower and militia. Years before, Jacob's first wife and daughter were killed in the crossfire of Gotham crime. He sent his only surviving daughter, Kate Kane, away from Gotham for her safety. After a dishonorable discharge from military school and years of brutal survival training, Kate returns home when the Alice in Wonderland gang targets her father and his security firm by kidnapping his best Crow officer and Kate's ex-girlfriend Sophie Moore. Although remarried to wealthy socialite Catherine Hamilton Kane, who bankrolls the Crows, Jacob is still struggling with the family he lost while keeping Kate the daughter he still has at a distance. But Kate is a woman who's done asking for permission. In order to help her family and her city, she'll have to become the one thing her father loathes, a vigilante. With the help of her compassionate stepsister Mary and the crafty Luke Fox, the son of Wayne Enterprises' Ted Guru, Lucius Fox, Kate Kane continues the legacy of her missing cousin Bruce Wayne as Batwoman. Still holding a flame for Sophie, Kate uses everything in her power to combat the dark machinations of the psychotic Alice, who's always somewhere slipping between sane and insane. Armed with a passion for social justice and a flair for speaking her mind, Kate soars through the shadow streets of Gotham as Batwoman. Whew! that was one long synopsis. So let's just get right into it. We're gonna jump to the end. Real quick. Alice and Kate are sisters. Alice is Beth, who is Kate's sister, who supposedly died. I really like the way to see that. Well, this is just what I'm assuming, but I really enjoyed the way the CW did this and just the pacing of it. Just because normally with shows like The Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, they like to draw out certain cliffhangers. But I liked how on the very first episode they're like, "Hey, here's the shits. This is what y'all are getting this season." Boom. And this is and even with Alice as the antagonist, it sets up for a bigger boss who I think is probably going to be her father, Jacob Kane. One thing I will say, I really do like how Kate Kane, also who was played by Ruby Rose, who is an out actress. She is a lesbian actress, and she actually made history because she is in Batwoman is the first television show to feature an LGBTQ superhero lead, and is very I think that's very dope. Congrats to the CW. They've always been progressive, so I think that's dope. But and even when we look at the TV ratings, sorry I'm all over the place right now, but the TV ratings was pretty solid. It was a 0.5 rating on the Nielsen scale, which is 1.8 viewers, which is a solid start for a CW series, and it is well above Roswell, New Mexico, and Legacies. So I will say, I really liked the first episode of Batwoman, because it pulled me in just as a viewer because we saw her in the crossover last season. So just seeing this one is very dope. I do like some of the animosity that Kate has with her father, and I feel like that's going to be a big thing moving forward this season. I also really like how Kate is struggling to see the love of her life. Of course, married to somebody else. Nobody wants that disaster or nightmare. So of course she feels some type of way. Makes complete sense. I get it. Yeah, it's just it was a really solid show. One of the things I do like the Alice in Wonderland game. From typical CW villains, a lot of them are goofy yet serious, but I feel like with the Alice in Wonderland game, they're very strict and down to business. And Alice is playing like the role of I guess Persuado Joker, like an alternate version of the Joker. One of the things I absolutely did not like was they made Luke Fox a nerd. And that was never what Luke Fox wanted to. That's not what Luke Fox was. He wasn't like this geek. He was this, I think he was an athlete. He was either an athlete or in the military. I have to, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was an athlete or in the military. And he also was good with tech because Lucius Fox was his father. So he had that background. But I do think this Luke is playing he's doing a good role. But yeah, one of the things I actually do like is how Kate had all of this animosity for Batman not saving her sister or mother, but when it comes down to it, and she finds out that her older cousin Bruce is Batman, and she sees all the research in the Batcave about everything he tried to do to save her family, and how just like he made a slight miscalculation, which is something Batman hardly ever does. I think that that's one thing that's like, wow, okay. We see her dealing with some of her demons just from like she had all this animosity towards somebody who hurt her, but who she figured hurt her, but really he was trying to help her. And even with the clue from the dagger that Alice threw at Kate, we see that this is just the beginning. But yeah, no, that's about it for me. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give this an 8, and I'm all in, baby. I think this is going to be a great series. Thank you for listening. Peace.
All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.